The low growl of C-47 transport planes cut through the dawn skies of September 17, 1944. Inside, paratroopers of the 1st British Airborne Division gripped their rifles, their eyes fixed on the red lights above. Operation Market Garden had been sold to them as the war's swift ending, a bold leap across the Netherlands, seizing key bridges over the Rhine, and punching straight into the heart of Germany. Private Daniel Cooper sat among them, his knuckles white as he clutched his Sten gun. 22 years old, a dock worker from Liverpool before the war, Daniel had endured the beaches of Sicily and the fields of Italy. Yet the tension here felt sharper. Arnhem lay below, and with it, the northernmost bridge, the one planners called the key to ending the war by Christmas. The green light snapped on. Go, go, go. Daniel hurled himself into the cold air, parachute snapping open as tracer fire licked the sky. Below, the Dutch countryside unfolded, canals, villages, and that fateful road leading to Arnhem. He landed hard in a pasture, rolling into the tall grass. Around him, his comrades gathered, already forming up. Their objective was clear: seize the Arnhem Bridge and hold it until armored relief from XXX Corps arrived, rolling up Hell's Highway from the south. The plan sounded straightforward, but war seldom respected paper. As they moved toward Arnhem, the sound of German 88s thundered in the distance. Resistance was heavier than intelligence had promised. The road to victory, Daniel realized, was already steep and blood-soaked. By afternoon, the paratroopers pressed into Arnhem's outskirts, moving street by street. Daniel's unit, led by Captain Mark Ellison, secured a row of brick houses overlooking the approach to the bridge. From the attic window, Daniel saw it, an elegant steel arch stretching across the Rhine, its silhouette almost serene against the horizon. But serenity ended quickly. German reinforcements, SS Panzer units, were already converging. Black uniformed soldiers poured into the city, supported by armored cars. Arnhem was no lightly defended town. It was becoming a trap. Radio for support, Daniel asked. Captain Ellison shook his head grimly. Lines are cut. We hold until the tanks arrive. That's our job. The next days blurred into an unending siege. Mortars rained down, reducing houses to rubble. Food dwindled, ammunition ran short. Civilians, caught in the crossfire, huddled in basements. A Dutch woman, Anna, slipped through the ruins to bring the paratroopers bread and water, whispering warnings of German movements. Her courage gave Daniel strength even as despair crept in. At night, flares turned the city into a ghostly battlefield. Daniel fired until the Sten overheated, until his ears rang from the crash of artillery. Men he had known since Sicily fell beside him, faces pale in the moonlight, names swallowed by the roar of battle. The bridge, so close, remained out of reach. The Germans controlled its northern ramp, their armor dug in tight. Each attempt to push forward bled the paratroopers dry. Daniel's thoughts circled one haunting question. Had the planners truly believed they could take Arnhem? Or had they asked the impossible from men already stretched beyond breaking? By the fourth day, Arnhem was a cauldron. Buildings burned, smoke choked the streets, and every corner held a sniper's nest. Yet the remnants of the 1st Airborne clung to their positions with stubborn defiance. Daniel, exhausted and hollow-eyed, crouched behind a shattered wall with Captain Ellison and what little remained of their platoon. Their orders were unchanged: hold the line until XXX Corps arrived. Each hour they expected to hear the rumble of friendly armor. Each hour, only the grinding tracks of German panzers echoed instead. On the morning of September 21st, the Germans launched their heaviest assault yet. Half-tracks roared forward, infantry swarming behind. Mortar rounds fell like hammer blows. The paratroopers answered with everything they had left: rifle fire, grenades, even captured Panzerfausts. Daniel saw Captain Ellison rise, firing a PAT at point-blank range into an armored car. The explosion rocked the street, but Ellison never rose again. Rage and grief surged through Daniel. He dragged the captain's body behind cover, then turned his weapon on the advancing Germans, firing until the magazine clicked empty. Around him, his comrades fought with the desperation of men who knew relief would never come. By nightfall, their numbers were shattered. Ammunition was gone. The bridge, visible through the smoke, seemed both mocking and unreachable. A final order came down the line: withdrawal. Those who could would attempt to slip back across the Rhine under cover of darkness. Arnhem was lost. The night of September 25 was cold and wet. Rain fell in sheets as the remnants of the division crept toward the riverbank. Daniel, shoulders aching under his gear, carried wounded comrades where he could, refusing to abandon them. At the water's edge, flimsy boats awaited. The crossing was chaos, shells bursting overhead, machine guns scything across the water. Men rowed with frantic strength, paddles splashing as they fought both current and enemy fire. Daniel heaved himself into a boat with Anna beside him, the Dutch woman who had risked her life to aid them. She had refused to stay behind, insisting the Germans would exact vengeance on anyone who had helped the Allies. Her eyes, usually steady, now shone with fear. The boat lurched into the river. Bullets peppered the water, men cried out, boats capsized. Daniel gritted his teeth, rowing with desperate rhythm. Behind them, Arnhem burned. The bridge, still intact, loomed against the flames, a symbol of both their courage and their defeat. The operation that was meant to end the war by Christmas had instead cost thousands of lives. As dawn broke, Daniel stumbled onto the southern bank, mud clinging to his boots, lungs heaving. He turned back for one last look. The Rhine flowed dark and merciless, carrying the dead downstream. The bridge stood tall, but it had been too far. Yet even in failure, the men of Arnhem had written a story of defiance, a tale that would echo long after the smoke cleared, a reminder that bravery is not measured by victory alone. Daniel knew history might call Arnhem a disaster. But for those who fought, it was something more, a testament to endurance, sacrifice, and the unyielding will of soldiers who refused to break, even when the odds were impossible. And in that knowledge, he found a grim, quiet pride.